So here is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about circles, and we're going to talk about equations. So we're talking about equations. And how many guys, if I asked you, what is a graph? Tell me what a graph is. Anyone have any idea what a graph is? Good. I'll tell you, listen, I went through all of like high school and I graphed a whole bunch of crap and I had no idea what I was doing. I literally just did what the teacher said. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it. So let's talk about it. Have you guys ever seen this? Have you ever seen that? What form is that? It is slope-intercept. How many answers are there to that equation? So I've got 1, I've got 2, I've got infinite, I don't know. So think, how many answers are there to that equation? There are infinite amounts of answers. Because as I put in, let's say I put a 0 in for x. Is that okay? Can I put a 0 in for x? What happens? What's my y? 2, because you put a 0 in here. 0 times 3 is, plus 2 is. But what if I don't want my x to be 0? What if I say I want my x to be 1? My y says, fine. If you change, guess what I'm going to do? I'll change with you too. What happens when I put a 1 in? What kicks out? What happens when I put a 2 in? What kicks out? No. 3 times 2 is 6, but then plus 2 is 8, right? Could I put a negative in? What's a negative 1? What would kick out? Negative 1. Could I keep going? How many answers are there to this equation? An infinite amount. Why? As I change my x, what happens? My y changes. Now, what if I gave you this question? How many answers are there to this equation now? Only 1, because how many variables are there? And so that means there's only one x that when I plug this in, times it by 3 and add 1, that it will get to 10. And how would I solve for that? How would I do that? No, we'd work backwards, right? So we would minus 1, 9 equals 3x, divide by 3, and 3 equals x. And how many answers are there? Just 1. Why? Because there was how many variables? Does that make sense? Yes or no? How many answers are there to this equation? Infinite amount. Let's make a connection here. Slope-intercept form, that's the y. I go up 2, bless you, 1, 2. And then my slope is 3 over 1, which means I go up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. I could go up 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and over another 1. Or I could even go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and back 1. Because a negative 3 over negative 1 is the same thing as 3 over 1. Because what do the negative and negative do to each other? So that's the same slope. Negative 3 over negative 1 is the same as 3 over 1. Do you see this line that is formed? And I'm not doing a very good job of drawing. That is the graph of that, yes? What is the graph? Well, let's look. What is this ordered pair right here? 0, 2. Wait, isn't that what I had over here? What is this ordered pair? 1, 5. Wait, isn't that what I had here? And this ordered pair, what do you think it's going to be? 2, 8. And finally, what do you think this one is? What is a graph, ladies and gentlemen? It's a visual representation of all the answers to this equation. This line represents every answer to this equation. In fact, what does that mean? If I use this ordered pair that's on the line, what would this ordered pair do to this equation? Make that equation what? True. It would make the left side equal to the right side. What does every ordered pair that's on this line, what does every one of those ordered pairs on this line do to this equation? Makes the equation true. That's why all of these are solutions to this question. What does that mean for this ordered pair? What would that ordered pair do to my equation? It would make my equation false. Why? Because it's not on the line. It's not an answer to this equation. Now, it might be an answer to a different equation, but not the one I'm discussing right now. What is a graph? Visual representation of all the solutions, answers, whatever you want to say. Does that make sense? That's how an equation and a graph are related. So if I gave you an equation that looked like this, don't write, just watch. This is a parabola. You might have seen it a little bit in Algebra 1. You'll really see them in Algebra 2. But if I gave you the graph, and I told you this was the graph, and I asked you to tell me another answer to that equation, where could you look to find another answer to that equation? Anywhere on the U shape, right? Anywhere that's on this green U, any one of these dots. What would any one of those dots do to this equation? Make it true. What would all the dots not on this U do? Make it false. Are you understanding the correlation between a graph and its equation? That is so important for us. Like I said, I didn't make that connection until way later on in life. I just did what the teacher told me. I had no idea what a graph and the equation, they really have a tight bond. Does this make sense? Why are we going over that? We're going to talk about an equation today. I'm not going to show you where it came from. I could show you because it was made from like the distance formula and combining all this stuff, but I don't want to take the time to do that. So I'm just going to help you come up with this. This is equation for a circle. This is 9-3. We are talking about circles today, and this is the equation for a circle. So this is equation for a circle. Notice this negative is here, this negative is here. That's supposed to be there. Your H and your K from this equation up here, that's going to make your center of your circle. That's how you'll know where the center of the circle is. And this number back here will be the radius squared. So that means the radius will just be r. Well, why is that a little tricky? Because this number is going to be the radius squared. So what are you going to have to do to this back number to find the radius? Square root it. Square root it. So that means if I gave you an equation like this, x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 16. Well, first off, because the way the equation is written, what kind of shape do you know this equation is going to make? A circle. Just like when I said y equals mx plus b, if I wrote it in that form, what kind of graph will that guarantee going to give you? A line. It's called slope-intercept form because I know what it looks like. I know what kind of graph it's going to give me. This looks like what a circle equation is going to be. So I already know this is going to make a circle. So what's the center of my circle going to be? No. Look back up. That negative is supposed to be there. Yes. 3, comma, 2. So guess what I always do to the number in here? When I put it in my center. Change the sign. So if it's -3 here, what did I do when I put it down here? It became a 3, right? What is my radius for this one? No. The radius squared is 16. So what do I have to do to that? Square root it, which is 4. So if I asked you to graph it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Then I'd go over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot, right? Because the radius is from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. Do you follow? What else could I do from the center? Not just go to the right directly, but what else could I do? Go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. What else could I do? Go straight up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. What else could I do? Go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do a terrible job, but pretend I'm a better drawer than I really am. There's my circle. Do you see how I graphed it? Makes sense, yes or no? Give me the center. How did you get -1, 5? Well, yep, and I told you, what do you do with this number? Change the sign, right? So it became a -1. This is a -5. Change the sign, it becomes a +5. And what's my radius? 5. Yes or no? By the way, a lot of questions on the EOC about circles. Questions. All right. What if I gave you the circle? So what if I gave you a picture of a circle? I asked you to give me the equation. Give me the equation of that circle. Well, first off, what do you need? You need the center, right? What's the center? 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2, -4, I agree. What else do I need? How do I get the radius? Well, in this one, it's pretty easy because I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that hits perfect. So my radius is 5. So what's the equation? X what? Minus 2 squared, right? Whatever this is, do the opposite. Plus y what? Plus 4 squared equals 25. Good, there's the equation. Yes? Do a different one. Actually. All right. Give me the equation for this circle. What do I need first again? Okay, what's the center? -1, comma 2. Very good. There's the center. What's the radius? This is a half? Is that a half? Do you know that's perfectly a half? Are you allowed to just guesstimate on math? Is that what I said? Hey, you know what? When things don't hit where they're supposed to, just guess. Is that what we talked about? No, never. What other thing could you try to use that could maybe help you? What are you trying to find? What are you trying to find? Okay, what's the radius? The distance from the center to the outside of the circle, right? Why was the last one nice? The last one was nice because the radius from here to here hit on a nice perfect, so I could just count, right? Kind of like when I gave you this shape and I asked you for the area. Why is this shape really easy to find the area of? Because these lines are straight up, you can count how long it is, right? Because these lines are straight across, you can just count how long it is, and then you do length times width. Yes? Hello? Why is this shape a little bit more of a pain in the butt to find the area for? Can you find the distance of this by just counting? What do you have to do? Distance formula. Oh, wait. If I can use the distance formula on that, can I use the distance formula for my circle? Don't I want to know the distance from here to the outside? Isn't that a good point for me to use? And can't I find this distance by using the distance formula? You understand what I just said, yes or no? Do we just guess? Just call it 3.5 and we'll be good. No. So, what's this ordered pair? Distance formula. No. Square root of. So x minus x. I would do 1 minus a -1. What's 1 minus a negative turn into? So I have 1 plus 1 squared plus, since I did this one first, I have to do the 5. 5 minus 2 squared. Square root of 1 plus 1 is 2 squared is plus 5 minus 2 is 3 squared is 9. And then the square root of 9 plus 4 is, so what's the equation of my circle? Now I got my radius. That's my radius. I got my center. So it's x what? Plus 1, very good, squared, plus y minus 2, beautiful, squared equals, be careful. Why did you get 13? This is r squared goes there, right? What happens when you square a square root? What do the square and the square root do to each other? So then I have 13 down there. That is my equation for that circle. Does that make sense, yes or no? Questions on that? All right, final type of problem I'm going to show you today. And you'll have some chance to work on those IXLs or ask me questions on the IXLs that you had to do with this sub. Make sure you're looking on Portal tonight. There will be new homework. So make sure you look at that. Here's the last example, and this goes back to what I was telling you at the beginning of the class period. Circle Q. By the way, we name a circle by using the center. So you know that point Q is going to be the center of this circle. Has a radius of 7. And Q is at the origin. Does the point, and yes, you need to get used to seeing numbers like this, -3 square roots of 2, that's one number, that's the x, comma 5, does that lie on circle Q? So does that lie on circle Q? So let's talk through this problem first. What did we talk about at the beginning of the lesson about lines and the graph of the equation and the graph? What did we say? Say that again. Right. So what should this point do to the equation of the circle? If it's going to lie on the circle, it should make the equation of the circle true, right? Well, what's the problem right now? We don't even have a what yet. Well, before that, we don't even have the equation. Does that make sense? What should I first work on trying to find? Let's try to find the equation of the circle. Then we'll talk about what we're going to do with this. All right, circle Q has a radius of, I know where that's going to go, but that's not till the end. What does it mean to be that Q is at the origin? Well, first, since they told me Q, and they said they named the circle Q, what do I know Q is? The center. And where did they say the center is? What's the origin?
0,
0, 0. So that means that I'm going to do x minus 0 squared, right? Plus what? Y minus 0 squared. And that's going to equal what?
0.
No, not 0. Why'd you say 49? Where the heck did you get 49 from? The radius is 7, but what does my formula have to have back here? R squared. Very good. Hey, what's 10 minus 0? What's 100 minus 0? What's x minus 0? So this just turns into, this means that this is going to be x squared plus what? Is going to equal. Now, is that how all the equations of circles are going to work? Why did this one work like that? Because it's at the what? Now I said if this point is going to be on the circle, this point better make this equation what? So that means that negative 3 square roots of 2 is my x. So I put it in for x. That's squared plus what? Plus 5 squared. That better equal what? If it doesn't, what does that mean about this ordered pair? That it does not lie in the circle. If it does make it equal to 49, what does it mean about that point? It's on the circle. Yes or no? How the heck do I square this? Well, let's take care of this. What's 5 squared? Good. I'm going to do a little side work over here, talk you through this. What the heck does it mean to be negative 3 square roots of 2 squared? What does it mean to square something? So doesn't that mean it's negative 3 square roots of 2 times negative 3 square roots of 2? And what does it mean to be negative 3 square roots of 2? What does that really mean? That really means negative 3 times the square root of 2 times negative 3 times the times the square root of 2. Well, what do I know about multiplication?
1 times 1 equals 1.
Okay, what else do I know? What's 2 times 3? What's 3 times 2? What does that mean I can do with multiplication? I can change it is called commutative. It means I can change the order. So instead of doing negative 3 times the square root of 2, which I can't do, I mean, it's not going to be, it'd be a long decimal, so I can't really change that.
It's going to be an infinite.
Could I do negative 3 times negative 3? What's negative 3 times negative 3? 9, yes? What's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? That turns into square root of 2 squared, right? And what happens to the square and the square root? And then I end up with 9 times 2. And what's 9 times 2? So that's how I squared that front number. And I get 18 plus 25. 18 plus 25 is 43. Does 43 equal 49? No. So what does that mean?
That's not a thing.
No, this point does not lie on that circle. And there's my proof of why I know it doesn't. It's not a guess.